How's it going, everybody? As always, thanks for tuning in. I'm Alan Staley, and this is Slinging Dirt with Staley. On this week's episode, teenage driver of the Style and Hair Studios, Renee Netherton Attorney, Fuquay Trucking, Heritage Motors, Murphy Trucking, Call Valley Trenching, Calhoun's Jewelry, Jerry Covert Motorsports, number 34S, IMCA Sport Mod, and USRA B Modified. From Topeka, Kansas, Sturgis Streeter. As a lifelong motorsports enthusiast with over a half-decade of competition under his belt, Sturgis has been wheeling in and winning races amongst some of the best in anything from karts to mods. I first met Streeter a couple years ago, again at Atchison County Raceway in the Kids Mods division, where within his first 3 races, Sturgis would claim a feature win. Never one to settle, as he would be among the handful of hungry and determined young drivers that chose to step up division before the season's end. Not only would Streeter be among the leaders, he would claim a full-fledged E-modified feature victory, as well as finishing in the top 10 in points in only his rookie campaign. 2018 would see a change in classes and more traveling for Sturgis, as he would move up to the Sport Mod and B Mod ranks, competing at various Midwest tracks in Missouri and Kansas. Even with all the changes, the Roadrunner was steady and ready, racking up 4 feature wins at 3 different tracks. Streeter would place 5th in season points at Thunderhill Speedway with 2 wins on the year, 10th in points at the High Banks of Salina with 1 feature win despite only racing a limited schedule. Also in 2018, Streeter would climb back behind the wheel of a familiar Yance racing team E-modified and pilot his way to victory at Central Missouri Speedway. With the 5th place in points for the state of Kansas in 2018, this young wheelman is for sure a frontrunner at whatever track in whatever car he enters. I catch up with the always fast Sturgis before a race at his hometown track, Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka, where we reflect on anything ranging from his racing life after Atchison to the topic of, despite his age, in the pits at least, he's known as a seasoned veteran. Plus, Sturgis's locally infused Mount Rushmore of racing, how he's managed to keep his sponsors happy despite the traveling, why his racing program would be incomplete without his family, and more on an all-new Slinging Dirt with Staley. Special guest Sturgis Streeter, and appearance by his crew chief and father, Chuck Streeter, starting right about now.
Growing up, I was always around the race cars and the shop and everything, and Dad always helped work on the race cars with Darren, Fuquay, and Selbach and all those guys, and I've just always been around it my whole life.
And how long have you been driving for?
7 years.
Quite a lot of accomplishments over those 7 years. A lot of feature wins there at Atchison County Raceway, another one that came through the ranks. So the Kids Mods division, what from that division can you take into the later stages of your career? Like, what's the most valuable piece of learning that you gained from Atchison?
Well, that little track, I personally think that it makes a driver out of you. It really helps your driving skill a whole lot.
Why the number? Is there any big significance there?
I have no idea. I just chose it one day, and we went with it since.
Just picked a number and went with it.
Yeah.
Do you have any superstitions on race day or while you're at the track?
Nope. I mean, sometimes I'll wear the same clothes, but
yeah,
that's about it.
Any fear?
Fire.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when I was racing quarter midgets, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, I spun out and it ripped the muffler off, and when it did, it took the fuel line with it, caught on fire, and I was on fire, and Dad pulled me out because I couldn't find the strap to get out.
How do you get over something like that? How do you overcome that fear to crawl back in a car and then be as impressive as you are behind the wheel?
You just can't worry about that.
Out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah.
What's going through your mind when you're sitting in the staging area?
Just keep the car together and do as best as we can. Say a prayer and let the good Lord keep you safe.
And what about on the parade lap? Are you looking up into the grandstands trying to find fans? Are you looking for your marks? Are you searching high, searching low, trying to find the groove? What's going on in the parade lap?
First time we were all out there, as soon as we get on the track, I normally look who all's in the stands and just see. And then about the next couple laps when we're rolling around, I'll check the track out and see what looks best and where not to go.
You may be young, but there's other drivers that look up to you. If you could impart some words of wisdom about how to not only gain but maintain sponsorship, what would you tell them?
Go in there and be presentable and race every weekend, and go in with a game plan of what you're going to do all year.
And your sponsors have been with you for a while. How do you maintain that longevity of keeping them on your side?
A lot of them are some really good friends of ours that we've known for years, and they like the way that we race and what we race and how we always do. And they're just always really happy with me.
Supporting your sponsors is the main thing too.
Yeah,
you just can't get somebody and then never do nothing with them, or if it's jewelry or if it's car wash or whatever it is, you have to give back to them and show that you and the community's giving back, because if you don't, they won't stay in.
They'll pull the sponsorship.
Yeah, they sure will.
What would you say is the biggest positive of our sport?
Family oriented.
I agree.
Very family oriented.
And that is one thing I admire about your guys' racing program. You guys are always here together. You're having a good time. I'll even go so far as to say you give other drivers pointers. Like, I'm not telling you what to do, but you might try this. Where does that come from?
I like to see everybody do good, personally. And I know that if I needed help, they would come and help me.
It is a very family-oriented sport, and again, I admire that about your guys' race program.
There's two things about helping other racers that are struggling. You have a racer that's struggling, you've got to make sure you can get around him, and if he's a danger on the track because his car's not handling right, he's a danger to everybody. So if you can help him get something figured out where he's struggling, because we've had plenty of guys say, hey, this might be what you try, because, especially when we got into Atchison with the kids mods, hell, we were green when it come to putting that car together. And Nicholas Carpenter's dad come up and give us a setup that they use up there. The first night we was there, he said, this is what we do, or it might even been a couple weeks prior to starting. So giving somebody advice, you don't want to give them all your pointers, but you want to give them enough to make them as safe and competitive on the track as they can be, because you'd rather have a guy competitive and racing than have a guy that you got to watch for 3 or 4 times that you got to pass.
Exactly.
It's going from the top to the bottom.
And even further on that note, you only get better by racing against better competitors. If you can improve the quality of drivers out there, it'll only make you look that much more impressive.
That's why going to multiple tracks is very good that's one thing we've done with him with quarter midgets and with these cars, is we've traveled as much as Bill Full will allow so that we can make him better. Every track's got different drivers, and when you get used to the same drivers every day, every night, you don't better yourself.
Average week during the season, how much time you spend working on the car?
Well, during the summers, I'm there every day, and I just do little small stuff. I mean, just fiddle with stuff. When it's school, when I got school nights will normally, Sunday or Monday we'll wash the car, Tuesday we'll get in, and Tuesday to Wednesday we'll get tire work done. Thursday is normally get the gear changed. Get
the gear changed for whatever track you're going to hit over the weekend. What about off-season? Are you tearing the whole car down, building it back up from the ground, or is it just kind of minor adjustments here and there?
Putting another car together.
Yeah. What about future plans? Where do you see your racing program progressing? Are you strictly going to be in the modified division? Is there a hint of asphalt maybe in the future?
I personally would never go back to asphalt. This dirt's just way too much fun.
Yeah, way more fun.
But I think the modified's really all we're going to be able to stay in. If I could get a ride somehow, I'd love to go to the late models.
Yeah, like a UMLA or something like that.
I mean, anything like that. But I see just staying in modifieds.
We do have future plans of moving into probably an IMCA mod next year.
IMCA modified?
If we do anything, we'll be a USRAB mod once in a while at Lakeside on Friday nights and run IMCA mods next year. We're going to step up.
Good deal. Stepping up the racing program.
Yeah.
Competition or camaraderie? How are we viewing these guys?
When we get on the track, it's competition. I mean, I'm not friends with anybody,
but in the pits,
I'll talk to anybody.
Where does that motivation come from? Why keep doing it? You're talking hours in the shop, the danger aspect, money. Why do it?
It's a passion. I mean, it's a blast. There's no other way to describe it.
The adrenaline rush that you get. What is your preferred track? Do you like the long, narrow? Do you like the high bank, short? What's your cup of tea?
Oh, I mean, we start going to Lakeside. I love that, getting up on the wheel on the high side. But I think Atchison is still one of my favorite tracks.
I agree
That's
with that.
small and high banked, and Dodge City is also. I mean, it's quite the same.
It's kind of
not
similar.
As banked, but it's a really nice track, and I love that track too.
Every track is your favorite track for certain reasons.
Yeah.
Every track has something
that
that
you
pulls
just
you to it. If it's the people that's there, the facility that you go to, the atmosphere, you can have one of the smallest, grungiest looking tracks that you go to, and they can have the best atmosphere that you've ever raced in, And when you pull in, you're like, oh, do we really want to run
You question
here?
it when you get there, and then by the end of the night, you're like, oh, I love this place.
We're coming back,
Yeah.
you know. So we've hit quite a few tracks this year, and every one of them's had their own special reason to want to go back. And that's what makes racing fun too, is when you pull into a track and they welcome you there.
Yeah.
And with being like a family affair, the whole thing, everybody can work on a car. Baseball, you got one player and then your parents cheering. And this involves everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's changing a tire, keeping score, chasing for sponsors. Everybody can be involved.
It's all hands on deck.
Yes,
Everybody
exactly.
can get involved. I like that.
A lot of highs, a lot of lows, and family is what takes you through the lows and makes you keep coming back.
I appreciate the highs that much more. Anybody you want to give a special shout out to? Thanks for helping your racing program along these years.
My dad, he does everything really. Pays for everything. He gets the car to the track, and
kind of the
all
unsung hero of the operation.
Yeah, all my sponsors: Style and Hair Studios, Jerry Covert Motorsports, Fuquay Trucking, Call Valley Trenching, Murphy, Calhoun's Jewelers, Renee Netherton, BP Race Fuels, FK Motorsports Graphics, Heritage Motors, and God's Storehouse, and all my family that stays behind me all the time and always supports me.
Kind of helps when the banner's right there on the end of the car. You can just read them right off. What is your dream car?
Probably a 68 72 Chevy Square Body.
All right. Are you going to build it ground up, or are you just going to buy it outright?
Buy it and do some things to it.
And make it your own, personalize it. All right, and the final question of the show, it's kind of the staple here on Slinging Dirt with Staley. What is your Mount Rushmore of racing? The top 4 drivers in your mind. They can be all asphalt, all dirt, Formula One, a blend of everything. They don't even have to be the best in the world. Your 4 favorite.
Scott Bloomquist for sure, Donnie Schatz, Darren Fuquay.
Last but not least.
That's a hard one.
It's hard when you got to narrow it down.
Probably, I don't know, man. Probably Jason Hughes.
Jason Hughes?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. All right, buddy, that's about all the questions I have for you right now. Again, thank you for sitting down. Sorry about the heat and everything, but it's a warm one today.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck here tonight, and hopefully I'll be seeing you in Victory Lane later on tonight.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.